Our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting parents whose children have passed. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning a shift from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. Helping Parents Heal goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non-dogmatic way. Helping Parents Heal affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and encourage open dialogue. Attendance at this meeting is voluntary. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Discussions here are confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Zoom meetings run by leadership are not confidential. These meetings typically feature guest presenters and are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members worldwide can watch and benefit. Neither type of Helping Parents Heal meeting is designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with our children who've passed. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinions of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members, so we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you're here with us tonight.
Yes, we are so grateful that you're here. And I just want everyone to maybe put in the chat box who you are, where you're from, if you're an affiliate leader, caring listener, or on the board. I see that Cody Brooks is here. And Cody Brooks is one of our Helping Siblings Heal affiliate leaders. And we are so grateful to him because he comes to all the conferences and he's just really a wonderful kid. But he's not really a kid. I say a kid because he's a lot younger than I am. And as I say, just let us know where you're from. And I'm going to go ahead and read Sunny's bio so that you know a little bit more about her. Sunny Dawn Johnston is a renowned psychic medium, visionary, and spiritual business coach. She is a regular Woman's World magazine contributor and has penned 23 books, including Invoking the Archangels and The Love Never Ends. Sunny offers courses, one-on-one sessions, and live events through which she's nurtured a vast global community. Whether it's face-to-face or digital, her mentorship has empowered countless individuals to align with their inner selves and embrace a higher vibrational, multidimensional existence. She created the Elevate Your Life membership platform, a space dedicated to crafting a life filled with abundance, self-appreciation, and happiness. As the leader of Elevate Your Life, Sunny emphasizes accountability, support, and guidance, ensuring sustainable and purposeful transformation. Sunny has been working with angels since she was a teenager, and she is passionate about sharing her expertise so that others can feel the powerful presence of angels in their lives. Sunny dedicates her time to volunteering as a psychic detective for Find Me, a global nonprofit. This organization brings together psychic, investigative, and canine search and rescue volunteers, all working in tandem to aid law enforcement and assist families of the missing and victims. For more information about Sunny, check out her website, sunnydawnjohnson.com. I will put that in the chat box. And without further ado, please join me and Irene in welcoming the beautiful Sunny Dawn Johnston. Welcome, Sunny.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, Irene. Hi, everyone. How are you tonight? Great to see beautiful souls. Thank you so much for being here and for allowing me to have this space and spend the next little bit of time with all of you. I guess probably the best place to start is at the beginning, because that's usually what people want to know. You know, how did you get involved in this field, and kind of how did it come to be? And So for that, I have to go back, and I was just doing it in my head going, okay, this is like 41 years ago now. Holy cow. I don't even feel like I'm 41 years old, but I am. So, what happened for me, like for many of you, because of a circumstance or situation, it's likely that with the transition of a loved one, oftentimes we have more of an interest and a desire to tap into our intuition, to connect with the other side, and to really open that door. But for me, it happened very differently. So in my experience, I was 13 years old. One night, just let's call it a random, although I don't think anything's random, but on a random night, I went to bed. I had been, I was pretty depressed, 13-year-old. And I went to bed one night, and I woke up in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock in the morning. And when I went to roll over, it was light. And so I opened my eyes to look at the light, and there was this beautiful, colorful, winged being above my bed. And the visual was certainly beautiful, but what was really what got me awake was the feeling. And the feeling was this immense unconditional love, just amazing energy of love. And I was so calm and so like in awe of this energy that I literally just rolled over and I went back to sleep. Now, how many of you at 13 years old, if you saw something flying above your bed, would just like roll over and go like, that was a little nuts, right? Like, what are you doing? But for me, the feeling felt so safe and so secure and so serene. So when I woke up the next morning, and I knew it was real, this wasn't an imagination, it wasn't a dream. So when I woke up in the morning, that's when my head kicked in. And that's when I was like, okay, wait, what was that? And oh my gosh. So then I ran downstairs and I told my mom what happened. I said, Mom, this is what happened. And she goes, well, Sunny, that's your guardian angel. And I said, I don't think I have one of those. And she says, well, of course you have a guardian angel. Everybody has a guardian angel, Sunny. And I said, I don't think I have one. And so in my mind at 13, if I had a guardian angel, then none of the challenging, difficult things that had happened in my life would have happened. That was my way of thinking about it. So it wasn't possible that I had a guardian angel because I'd had a lot of difficulty and a lot of challenge through my younger years. And so she really was trying to convince me that it was my guardian angel. But I will tell you what happened. After she told me that, I was like, yeah, I don't think that's what it was. But then she went on to tell me that night, she came into my bedroom at 11 o'clock at night. I was already asleep, and she prayed over me. And it was the first time that she's ever done this in this way. She asked God and the angels to keep me safe and to protect me. And what I recognized when she said that to me was I awakened to the manifestation of my mother's prayer. At 1 o'clock, I woke up and I saw the guardian angel that my mom invoked. Now, I still didn't believe that it was my guardian angel. I wasn't sure about any of that. But what I was sure of, and what I absolutely 100% knew, was that it was something out of the usual, because it wasn't a normal feeling that I had, that I really didn't have words to define. And what it did was it got me curious. I had that experience without knowing anything about anything. And what else exists? If that experience happened without me doing anything, what else is there? What else could there be? And that started me on a 41-year this year journey of curiosity, questioning, and a lot of answers. And it opened a door for me that said, I wanted to feel that way again. Selfishly, like I was like, I don't care if it's my angels or whoever it is. Like, I want to feel that energy of unconditional love because my parents did the best they could with what they had at the time and what they knew. However, I had never felt that feeling before. And I understand now what I didn't know then, which was that was the absolute frequency that the angelic realm is absolute unconditional pure love. I also understand that where our loved ones are in the spirit world is just a little step below that in frequency, just so much love. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to have more experiences like that, right? I wanted to experience that feeling. And I didn't know how to get that feeling. Like, I didn't do anything special that night. Like, I literally sat. I remember thinking, okay, what did I do? Like, I better brush my teeth the same way. I better go to bed at the same time. Like, all the things to try to create that thing happening again. And I went to bed that night and it didn't happen again. And so I didn't know what activated it. I didn't know what started it. And so what I did was I took myself to the library. And because I was really kind of nerdy and I liked to learn everything. And so I went to the library. Now, I do want to share with you that I was raised in Salt Lake City, Utah. And that will have that, you'll understand why I'm sharing that in just a minute. So I went to the library and I went up to the librarian and I said, okay, I'm looking for books on how to talk to your guardian angel. And she looked at me like I was crazy. And she says, we don't have books like that. And I said, well, there's got to be something. And she goes, the occult section. Now, I didn't know what the occult section even meant. So I went to the occult section. And in the occult section in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the early 80s, there were three kinds of books. There were numerology books, there were astrology books, and there were books on runes and how to use runes. And I checked them all out because I'm like, well, there must be something in here that's about guardian angels. And there wasn't, by the way. So when I read through them, I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how to do this. There's no book to tell me, which is what made sense to me. So this is what I did. This was my prayer was, all right, so if you're around, could you come back? That was my prayer. That's what I said. And over a period of the next 2 years, it was as if literally I was in class with the angels. I started getting signs, messages, words, visions, symbols. They started coming to me literally like downloads, if you will, information that I would just know for no apparent reason. And I would write it down. I just kept track of all of it. Then they started, so it was like in layers. Then they started showing me different colors. And they would show me that this color would always come with this particular, best word I can use is frequency. And I started to associate the frequency with the color, with the energy of what that angel was about. And so this went on for a couple of years, this journey of connecting and communicating with the angels. But within a couple of months of the experience with the angels, I started seeing loved ones that had passed on around other people. So I'm 13 years old and I'm hanging out with my friend who was the same age as I were. We were playing because back then 13-year-olds used to play together. So we were outside playing, and next to her, all of a sudden, we were at like a park kind of place, and all of a sudden, her grandfather appeared to her right side, like immediate image, and I saw him. And her grandfather had just died 2 weeks ago, and I knew that. And so I was like, oh, this is that. This is them coming back to visit. And so I was super excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, your grandpa's here. And she's like, what do you mean? Sunny, he just died 2 weeks ago. I'm like, no, he's right here. He's like right next to you. I described him. I'm like, and I'd met him before. And she's like, that's not possible. He's not here. He doesn't, he's dead. And I said, but he's not. He's not. And I tried to express that to her. And she went home and she told her mom. And I no longer had that friend. What started to happen, and I imagine that some of you can relate to this, is as I shared the experience that I'd seen and then other experiences, when I started talking to people about it, I became the weird one. And I became the one that was a little not with it. And we were the weird house on the corner. And so I'm sharing this with you because some of you may have had experiences with your loved ones. I certainly hope you have. And maybe if you haven't, you want to, or you haven't had enough because you want more of them, because we always do, right? Because they're with us, they're here, they're not above us, they're not below, they're like with us in this energy right now. But what I learned that day and over this time period was that sharing what I was seeing and what I was experiencing, at least in the community that I was around at the time, which is why I loved the fact that Elizabeth invited me to come and speak to you, because this was 40 years ago. 40 years ago, this wasn't talked about. There was no brave person out there at that time in my community that opened a door like Elizabeth has for all of you. To have a place, a safe place with like-minded and like-hearted people that have had similar experiences and can come together and say, yeah, I get that, right? That didn't exist then. And so what I discovered is that it wasn't safe for me to share those experiences. It wasn't okay. And not only was it not safe, but I will lose friends, and literally lost all of them. I was literally on my own. And so I share that with you because that was the gift, the most amazing thing, and the hardest thing, and it happened all at the same time, right? And I think that that's very true for probably many of you. Is there's been this worst feeling that you've experienced in the physical loss of your loved one, and then in the connection with their soul and their spirit, and knowing that you can still connect and communicate with them if you're at a place to know that right now. The greatest experience at the same time. So this major contrast, right? So I went through the next 15 years in a state of having these amazing experiences, push and pull, push and pull. So I'd have these amazing experiences and I'd be like, nope, I just want to be normal, never mind. And then I'd have this amazing experience, miraculous experiences. And then I'd just pull back. Nope, I just want to pretend I'm like a normal person. And what I realized after 15 years was, okay, Sunny, you're not normal, but you are, because this is normal. This actually is normal. Connecting with our loved ones in spirit is normal. Communicating and connecting with the angelic realm, like it's normal. And I don't like the word normal, but healthy. But normal was the word I used back then. So over that time, I had these experiences, but then I had my ego talking me out of it. Have any of you had that happen? Like, okay, maybe that wasn't real. I don't know. That was just me making it up. Or maybe people around you. Oh, well, you just want it to be that way. You just want them to come back. You just want to believe that, A, B, and C has happened. And I finally got to a place of recognizing that I was different and I was experiencing things in a different way. And I had to embrace that, which wasn't easy. But it was easier as I started opening up and I started having more and more experiences, because then it was exciting, right? Then it was like, okay, this is really cool. I get to connect and I get to communicate. And then it started opening up even more. Like I get to share and I get to help other people. And so there was a whole journey there, which I'm going to share in a minute. But I want to share. I don't know how many of you were here last time I was here. How many of you were here last time? I'm just curious. Okay, most of you are new. So I can't even remember what stories I told you guys. I have a lot of stories. But I have one great story about Archangel Michael. And I don't know if I shared that one, but I'm going to share it because I think it would be something you guys would love. So early on in this experience for me, I had an experience with Archangel Michael. As I said, I was downloading information from the angels. And so Archangel Michael was an angel. I didn't have a name for him yet, but I had an energy and I had a frequency and I had a sense of his energy. And so my parents decided to go out to dinner because we were having a lot of problems. They were having a lot of problems at home, and they decided to leave me to take care of my my little brother for the evening. And this was the first time they had done that. I was 13 and my brother was 5. And so they left, and my little brother was very intuitive. So I'm sure some of you were like this as a child, as a young child, but like he had his what people call imaginary friends. You know, what we knew them as, and I learned to understand that they were actually his angels. But I didn't know that at this particular time. And so he would have his friends, his imaginary friends. He'd play with them, he'd talk to them, they'd go to the store with us, they'd get in the car with us. Like it was him and his friends always. So this particular night, my parents left, and my little brother was upstairs playing with his toys, whatever, and I was downstairs, and he came running downstairs scared to death. And he said, Sunny, all of my friends are black, brown, and green, and they have frowny faces. Now, before, his friends were all primary colors, and now they had just changed and they had frowny faces. And so, and at that age, I didn't know exactly what to think about it, and I didn't really believe that he was seeing these things. I just thought he was kind of being a kid, like a lot of kids are, and making it up. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to be the big sister, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to share with him a little, I'm going to do a little abracadabra, and I'm going to make all the friends come back in the right colors. Like that was just, I just felt like, okay, I'll just pretend that I can do this. And so when I went to go up the stairs, there was literally a force that pushed me back. And that scared me bad. So I grabbed his hand and we ran to the far corner of the house, and we sat down against the brick wall. We sat there until my parents came home, which was like 10 o'clock at night. So it was a long time. And when my mom got home, I was like, oh my gosh, there's something scary and yucky in here, and I don't know what it is. And she's like, well, Sunny, okay, listen, I'll call my friend. So my mom had a friend named Leo that was an underground psychic in Salt Lake City, Utah in the 70s. And she was, because this was not something you could do openly back then, she had a couple of friends, and they would just kind of take turns going to each other's houses, so it didn't raise too many questions with the neighbors. And so she had Leo come over the next morning. She said, okay, I'll have Leo come over. She's going to clear the space. That's what she told me. She's going to clear the space. I didn't know what that meant. So Leo comes over in the morning, and my little brother goes outside to ride his big wheel up and down the street. And as he's out there doing his thing, he doesn't know anything that we're doing inside. Leo says, okay, we're going to call in Archangel Michael, and we're going to ask Michael to help us to protect this energy so we can clear any energy that isn't for the highest good of the whole family. Okay. I didn't understand any of those words at 13. I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. And so she said, what I want to do is we're going to all hold hands. So it was me, my mom, and Leo at the foyer of the house. We're going to hold hands, and I'm going to invoke Archangel Michael's presence. And then once he comes in, he'll clear the space, and it'll be just fine. And I'm like, I don't think it's going to be that easy. Like, you must have missed the memo that like this is a heavy energy. But she was pretty confident. So we held hands, and she said, okay, let's close our eyes. So they all closed their eyes. I'm a little bit of a rebel too, by the way. So I just closed one eye. And because I'm thinking, well, if Archangel Michael, because I've been feeling and starting to tune into the angels. So if Archangel Michael is going to come in here, I want to see him for sure. I want to see what happens. I want to see how he clears the space, because I don't know what that means, right? So I close one eye, we hold hands, and then Leo does a prayer, and it's short, but it's longer than this. And it was something to the effect of, I invoke the blue light of Archangel Michael to surround and protect this home from any negative energy or entities seen or unseen. Something to that effect is what she said. And so during that time, I had my eye open. Nothing. There wasn't a flash of light. There wasn't like this whoosh of anything. Nobody came in the front door. Like nothing happened. So we get done, and my mom, we open our eyes, and my mom goes, it already feels so much better in here. And I'm like, oh my God, seriously. Like nothing happened. So I'm just about ready to say, well, nothing happened, so I don't know why it feels better in here, right? My little brother outside riding his big wheel comes running in the front door, swings the door open, and yells, "Mommy, there is a great big blue bubble around our house." Well, maybe somebody did come, right? Like he knew nothing. But as soon, and then this is the message I want to give you, as soon as we invited the angels into the space, they appeared. Now, the reason that I didn't see the angel, and my mom felt the angel, and my brother saw the angel, is because my natural intuitive gift, I'm a feeler. Okay, I'm an empath. How many of you are empaths? You're feelers. You get gut feelings about things. You have this feeling within your body. Your body sends off gets a message, like it gets chills or the hair on the back of your neck, all that, right? So I'm a feeler. That's my nature. I've always been a feeler since I was a little kid. But I was trying to see. And because I was trying to see and I was focusing my energy on the visual, I missed the whole experience. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Now, the reason this is important, guys, there's a couple reasons why I want to tell this story for this group particularly. The reason this is important is because your natural intuitive gift, whatever that is, okay? Mine is a feeler. And what are they? They are feelers, seers, hearers, or knowers. Okay, so you're either claircognizant, knowing, clairaudient, hearing, clairsentient, feeling, or clairvoyant, seeing. Those are the four main ones. Now, we also have clairfragrant, where you might smell a scent that connects you to your loved ones. Sometimes even taste, clairgustance. You can taste, your grandmother always made banana bread, and you can taste that, even though there's no banana bread around. It matters what your strongest attribute is, because you all have all of the channels. Just like you can all see and hear and feel and know in your physical body and the humanness of you, you also have those channels on a spiritual level as language from the spirit world. Okay, so they're going to communicate with us, our angels, our guides, our loved ones in spirit. They're going to communicate with us through those channels. But you have one main channel that is your strongest attribute. It is the one that you've had since you were a child. Okay, so it might be that you are one that always feels that kind of energy, or you get that gut sense, or that heart racing, something's off, or something's way on. Like either way. If you are visual, you might see, like I saw my friend's grandfather, or see auras, or see angels. Even though I had visual experiences, my strongest attribute is feeling. Okay, so you could be like, well, Sunny, I've had a dream of my loved one, so that's clairvoyance, but I also had a knowing that something was wrong. Okay, then that's claircognizance. You all have all of them, but you have one that's the strongest. Okay, what I have found, and I've been teaching for 25 years, what I've found in my students, what I found for myself, is when we acknowledge and honor our natural gift, that opens the door to all of the others. It's like it unlocks the door to your seeing, your hearing, your feeling, and your knowing. So if you are wanting to connect more with your loved ones in spirit, one of the things that you have to remember is that they are communicating with you. You have to learn their new language. And their new language is going to be subtle. And what I mean by that is it's easy to miss it if you are distracted and if you are not super focused, right? It's easy to miss it just naturally. And then when you add grief on top of it, it's even harder. So we have to start looking at, okay, what is my natural? How was I as a kid? Was I sensitive? Was I a feeler? Was I someone that just like, I just had things just pop into my head for no apparent reason? I didn't know really where they came from. Have I always been somebody that like had that little voice inside my head, or like gets messages through songs and outside like people saying things? Have always been somebody that's just been very visual and been able to see more clearly, because that is going to be the channel that we want to open up, right? Like I've taught intuition classes for 25 years to open up, to have a greater connection to our loved ones, our angels, our spirit guides, ascended masters, the God of your understanding, all of those frequencies, right? And when we are wanting to open that intuition to connect, excuse me, to connect more with our loved ones in spirit, their energy is oftentimes, I want to explain this for some of you. If you had a very, very close relationship, it can be sometimes even harder to feel their presence because your energy is so interconnected that it's hard for you to know where you end and they begin, is the best thing I can say on an energy level. Okay, on an energy level. So for those of you that are like, okay, I really want to tap into this more, and I want to connect with them more, I want to experience them, I want to dream about them, I want to see them standing next to me, then what I want to encourage you to do is open up your intuition. And the first thing is set that intention. Invite their energy in. The second thing is we have to learn to be more present. And presence is very difficult, especially in a state of grief. There's not a right or wrong amount of time for this, but it can be difficult because it's bringing you into a different focus. And we have to be present to the experiences that are happening around us, because that's how they're showing us their signs. Our loved ones in spirit are so excited about where they are. They're so excited about what they're doing. They're so excited about their experiences, and they're so excited to share that with you. Yet they can't always reach you, not because it's not possible, but because we haven't learned how to tune into that energy, that frequency yet. And I want to say yet, because you all have that ability. Every single person does. Okay. So that's why oftentimes people will come to me or another medium to get information. My purpose in this world is not to do it for them, but to teach them how to do it, right? To teach you the skills to be able to do it for yourselves. Now, it doesn't mean I don't do mediumship, and I do, but that's not my focus. My focus is let me empower you so that you can learn how to have the connections yourself. Okay. So when I had that experience with Archangel Michael, that helped me to recognize I need to embrace my natural gift before I tried jumping into all of these others. And as I did that, I had literally, and I shared last time, miraculous experiences. Like my life has been saved, literally saved by the angels on more than one occasion. I'd like to wish that that's not the case, but it was. So what I wanted to talk about today is kind of the journey from that experience of, I wasn't out looking for this. It came to me, right? But I imagine that a lot of you are looking for it, like you're wanting to develop it. Is that true? Maybe you're wanting to develop it, right? So it just happened to me and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go with this, right? And actually, even for myself, I even pushed against it quite a bit. And I'll tell you why. One of the big challenges for me is, and those of you that are sensitive, are empaths, are clairsentient, the feelers, you probably can relate to this. So often when I would feel people's experiences, not just people who had transitioned, but people in the human realm, it was hard and it was sad and there was pain and there was deep emotion and grief and things like that. that I really struggled with being as sensitive as I was, trying to be around people that were having all kinds of life experiences. And so I knew that I was meant to do this work, and I pushed it away for 15 years. So when I was 28, I had two things back to back that happened, and this is what opened the door for me. Because I think a lot of times it is the transition of someone we love that creates a deeper desire or openness to connect with the spirit world. And for me, it was two women. It was my son's paternal grandmother, who I was very close to. I was 27 when she transitioned, and I was with her, and I was the only one with her when she transitioned. And when she did, I experienced her spirit going through my body, and I was never the same again. Like, I had now an experience of knowing and witnessing, feeling and seeing this energy literally move through me, that I knew, all right, Sunny, you need to do something with this. You need to help others understand this. And I was a little scared of it myself. Like, I didn't understand all of it, but I knew I was meant to do that. But then, you know how things happen, and then life happens and you get busy. And so you kind of just keep doing what you're doing. So that happened. I was raising two kids and I was busy and whatever. But then on New Year's Eve of 1999, my grandmother, who I was very close to, who had Alzheimer's, and she was in a care facility in Park City, Utah, walked out of her care facility at midnight in a silk nightgown and froze to death. And when we found out the next morning, they couldn't find her, and that was a search. And when we found out that they found her and she had passed, she spoke to me from the spirit world. And she asked me in a very forceful way, she asked me to be her voice. And she said, I've never had a voice in my life. I need you to be mine. And that message, that mission, was to be the voice, not just for her, but for elder care patients all over the world. Well, the United States, let's start with, that were not getting not being treated the way that they needed to. And so I took my body with her voice, and we went to Washington, D.C. I spoke on at Senate hearings to create laws. The Safe Return Law was one that we actually got. We were part of that support and that creation of. And there were several laws in the state of Utah that we created for those that were memory care people, people that were unable to make choices for themselves. And so I got to be her voice. And between those two women transitioning, they started coming to me constantly, telling me to stop pretending to be just the normal person and start doing what I was meant to do. And so when I was 28, I started doing this work. It's been 25 years, almost 26. And it opened a door for me that, although I still had concern around feeling the energy and the emotion of people, the mission, the purpose was greater than that, because I could help and I could bring closure to people that hadn't had it. And I was open to doing intuitive work and supporting people intuitively and things like that. The connection with the mediumship piece actually was really hard for me. And because I am so sensitive, it was a really difficult thing. But I had an experience. Any of you live in the Valley in Arizona? No, it's just me and Elizabeth. All right. Oh, and Cheryl. Okay. So in Arizona, I think it was 2007, maybe. This is what started, because a lot of people want to know how I got involved in kind of doing this for a living. And that's really how that journey started. My spirit just told me, you're meant to help and support. And so I started teaching and doing workshops and speaking at events, and then I created my own healing center, and started doing all of these things. And um, and then in 2007, there was a woman named Loretta Bowersock. She went missing in 2007, and my husband was watching the news. I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news for like 30 years, but he was watching the news, and I had walked into the living room, and I just saw her picture, and she came to visit me every night for 2 weeks. And in her visitation of me, she was showing me what happened to her, and I knew that she had transitioned, and I felt like I needed to do something, and I quite honestly became obsessed with trying to um, uh, find her. Literally, like I went to the desert and looked for her, and I called the police. And I called the police and I said, my name is this. And can you guys imagine, really? I called the police. Okay, so I'm a psychic medium, and I like get images and things about people sometimes. And so I just want to tell you what I think happened to this lady. And the girl's like, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. And she's like, okay, and how do you know that? And I'm like, well, I said I had a dream, and she came to me and visited me in the dream. And then I was meditating, and then she showed me and the lady's like, uh-huh, and what's your name? And what's your address? And what's your phone number? And then I hung up the phone because then I got really scared, because I'm like, oh no, like they don't know where I know this stuff from. Like they don't know me from anybody else. And so I was very, very blessed, as synchronicities in life happens, because I had an opportunity. I bumped into a person that was asking me what I was doing lately. And I said, oh, I'm teaching some classes and whatever. She goes, oh my gosh, you do that stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I don't really tell people because it's kind of a little woo-woo. But she had just met a person named Kelly who created an organization called Find Me. And Find Me is a international organization of psychic mediums, and he had just started it within like 2 years. And this was a place that I could channel that information, and people that have missing people can go to Find Me and get the group of psychics and search and rescue and um, um, dogs and all of the support to help find their missing loved ones. And it was a beautiful marriage of, I didn't know where to go. I just had this experience and was scared to death when I called the police, because it did scare me. And now I had a healthy, positive channel who was an ex-DEA agent for 35 years, who could talk to the police and talk to them from the language of that, but still share all of our information. So this is one of the things that I like to share this, especially in groups like this, because not everybody knows that that type of thing exists, and it absolutely exists. And we have had amazing success with it. And so if anybody ever has that, Find Me. It's a nonprofit organization. That might be something that you're interested in. And so I'm still a volunteer with Find Me. I have been for, gosh, it's been, I don't know, almost 20 years. And so, my journey kind of led me to that. Now, what I'd like to do is share a little bit about some of the angels, if you guys are open. Are you open to some of that? Okay, so I wanted to share just kind of the detail, because I know not everybody understands how, okay, well, now I want to have the experience. And again, the most important thing is that you open yourself up to connect intuitively, remembering that the spirit world, your loved ones, want to connect and communicate with you. But if we don't give them the space, if we don't give them time to be able to be in that direct communication, we can't hear them, and we can't understand the signs and the messages. How many of you have gotten a sign but you don't know what it means? You're like, okay, this is just the strangest thing, or I've had the weirdest dream, or I don't know why this certain thing keeps coming up, or this certain symbol. And it's usually because we are not aware enough yet to be able to interpret the messages that they're offering. Most often, what they want you to know is that they love you. And what they want you to know is that they're with you. And what they want you to know is that they can see you and they're at the party and they're at the wedding and they love you, and they haven't left. They just changed their clothes, basically, is oftentimes one of the terms that they say. I just went into the other room. But let me talk a little bit about a couple of the angels, because angels that's where I started, and I love angels. And I think that our angels can really help us walk through some of the challenges when you have had someone that has transitioned, that specifically Archangel Raphael. Archangel Raphael, some of you may be familiar with, but Archangel Raphael is the angel of healing, and he helps us to heal physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. He is a powerful, powerful healer. I always try to remind people that when you're in, your dark places, you're having your hard days, you can always invite Raphael to come in and take it. Like, take the pain, take the heaviness, take the anger, take the sorrow, whatever it is, or ask him to help you to transmute it. Right. So one of the and I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of an exercise, because normally I speak a lot at a lot of events, and I teach about connecting with our loved ones and our deceased loved ones, walk you through experiences to actually bring them in yourself. This is hard for me to do in this environment because I don't have control of the space and the energy, but in a room, I can do that. And I have a musician that works with me, and she brings in music that brings you to that level so that you are so much more open to connecting with your loved ones. But I'm going to give you the example of a piece that you could do if you wanted to. And that is to put your hand on your heart. You take one hand and put it on your heart, and then you actually bring the other hand up and you open yourself to tuning into the energy of Archangel Raphael's healing. And so what you would do is you actually are inviting that energy in. So you would visualize and breathe in this beautiful green healing energy. Raphael vibrates the color green, and letting that green energy move through your body. And then you would breathe out whatever color, because you likely will see a color, whatever color that density or that heaviness or the sadness or the frustration or the anger or the overwhelm, in whatever aspect of life, it doesn't matter. So what I like to imagine is that Raphael is on the other side of my hand, right? So he is actually helping me bring this beautiful green healing energy in, channeling it through my body, and then bringing that unhealthy, heavy, dense energy out, where he's taking that energy and transmuting it. Does that make sense for all of you? Now, I want to tell you real quick why I share that story, and this is just going to be short. When I was 18, I had a baby. I was pregnant at 18, and I got very, very sick. I was not planning to have children, and I developed toxemia, which turned into preeclampsia, which turned into eclampsia over my entire pregnancy. So I was on bed rest the whole time. And when I finally went into labor with my son at 41 weeks pregnant, I had a stroke. And they did an emergency C-section on me to save the baby, because they didn't actually know if they were going to be able to save me. And my blood pressure was 240 over 210. That gives you an idea for those of you that know numbers. So they got the baby out, and within 12 hours of my surgery, I had hives all over my body, and developed 106.3 degree temperature. So they took the baby, and I didn't get to see him. The first day I did, and then that was it. And for the next 3 weeks, I was in the hospital with 106.3 degree temperature, and that they couldn't get to break. And over that period of time, most of the time, if any of you are familiar, like I have my friend Anita Morjani, she talks about, you guys know her, right? Like, she's great. And she talks about life after death, near death experiences. And her and I have talked a lot about this, because in her experience, she had this amazing love and light and all of these things. And in my near-death experience, I just had dark. So I don't know what that says about me. What I recognize now is that it was me, as I was in a space of actually doing my healing work. I was having to observe, and I was witnessing what was happening to my physical body, and really in a space of almost like a holding healing space during that time. So I was in and out of my body most of the time, mostly out. So I could witness, like I recognized, for example, my nurse. I had a male nurse, and he had 2 cowlicks on his head, right here and here. And that's the reason I know that, is I was above him, watching him clean my wounds. Like I had an infection from my breast to my knees that was just green oozing infection for 3 weeks. And so what happened and how my life was saved, Archangel Raphael came in, was that I, about 2.5 weeks after I'd been in the hospital, the doctors came in, and I was by myself. I didn't have a lot of support. This was, I did most of this alone. My doctors came in, and I was in my body at that time. And they said, we need you to sign this paper. We don't think you're going to make it through the night. And we need to know who your son goes to, because I was a single mom, if you don't live. And I was young and naive. And so I really did not comprehend that literally, like, I could die. I just thought I was sick and I'm in a hospital, and that's where you go to get better. And people don't die of having babies. Like, all these things were what I thought was true. And so I signed the paper, and my doctors left, and I laid in the bed, and I was strapped down. My arms were strapped down because of the infection, so I wouldn't touch it, scratch it, itch it, whatever. So I was strapped like this. So if you think about this in a bed, like I was literally laid open, right? Like my heart space was open. And literally Archangel Raphael's presence appeared at the foot of my bed. And he said, breathe in my light and breathe out the illness. And that's exactly what I did. I did it for 12 hours. The next day, which was Mother's Day, my first Mother's Day, my fever broke for the first time in 3 weeks. And the next day, I checked myself out of the hospital. Not encouraged, but I decided if I was going to die, I was going to go see my baby. And so that experience with Archangel Raphael saved my life. And I have used that exercise and breathing that energy in and opening myself up to that many, many, many times for emotional healing, for physical healing, for spiritual healing when I'm in like a spiritual crisis, when I've walked through journeys of loss and death, and people choosing to complete suicide, all of those things. I have used this tool to be able to help me to heal. And I hope it's much more powerful in class, but I hope that it would give you one tool that you could use to be able to bring in that energy of healing that I think we all could use at different times. The other thing that I'd like to remind you is that the story that I told about Archangel Michael. For those of you that are sensitive, those of you that maybe are empaths, you can call in Archangel Michael's energy to help you so that you don't absorb the energy of other people. How many of you feel like sometimes you pick up energy and you feel drained after you've been hanging out with somebody, or you talk to somebody, or you had an experience like, oh my gosh, right? So I want to give you just a real quick example, because I also want to honor the time. So a lot of us are taught to protect our energy. And have you heard that term? Like, if you are in this realm, in this field, that's going to be something you likely have heard many times. You know, okay, you got to protect your energy. But what I found was that protecting my energy felt like I was having to be afraid of something. Like protection feels like there's something to be fearful of. And I didn't want to add more fear into my life. And so I was asking spirit and asking my angels, okay, what's another way that I could look at this? And so what Michael brought me was, instead of protecting energy, which feels like I need to keep everybody out, right? Like I got to keep all the energy out. I got to keep you out. You can't be in my space. But really, how much control do you guys have over other people? Not a lot, right? Like they're coming in, right? So what Michael said is, instead of protecting and trying to keep you out, learning how to maintain your energy, keep your energy in. Do you feel a difference in that frequency wise? Think about all the energy it takes to keep people out and to keep that up. And oh my gosh, you can't, don't come in. I'm over here scared of you, versus maintain my energy. So what I do every morning, this is just an invitation if you're interested, is I call on Archangel Michael and I ask him to help me to manage and maintain my own energy so I don't absorb the energy of others, seen or unseen. I don't need to absorb any energy. I don't want to absorb the heavy energy. I don't want to absorb the light energy. That means what? I'm responsible for my energy, right? And as long as I'm maintaining my energy, you can do whatever you're doing over there, and I'm not going to take it on, because my job is mine, right? Because we can't control other people's energy. So that is an invitation for you. I visualize kind of like a little blue bubble, like I step into that space, and that's my field. And this is the only thing I need to be responsible for. I don't need to be responsible for everybody else's. And for those of you that feel that and you take it on, or you know, like your phone rings and you see the person, and you're like, oh, I can't do that right now. I know y'all have one of those people in your life. We all do, right? Then it, for whatever reason, you're like, ugh. Okay, then that, I want you to think about it. I want you to, maybe if you're open, especially those of you that have a hard time, there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of things that can affect you, on top of grief that you may be experiencing, on top of stress that you may be experiencing. So when you hold your own energy, then my job is just this. My job isn't this whole world. Does that make sense? All right. And then Elizabeth did ask me to talk a little bit, or mention maybe I would talk a little bit about some of the trips that I love to take. And one of the reasons that I do this, and we were kind of just talking about this before you guys came on, is I've had this business for 25 years. I've been in Phoenix, and I love serving humanity, and I love helping people learn to connect with their loved ones and their angels and their guides. And I love to teach and speak and all those things. But one of the other loves that I have is I love to travel. And I love to go to new places, and I love to see new things. And I love to take people on the trips with me. So what I found is that probably about 20 years ago, I found that so many of the people that were in my community wanted to travel, but they wouldn't go alone. And they wanted to go to cool places, or wanted to go to spiritual places or whatever. So we just did in September, I took 35 people to walk the Camino, which is in Spain. Some of you might be familiar with it. So there was 35 of us that went, and it was a phenomenal, amazing trip. So phenomenal that I'm taking another group next year to go back. We're just going to do parts of it. So there's 2 different parts that we're going to do. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a sacred pilgrimage. That there's books. There's a movie called The Way that was Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez were in it. And it's such a powerful movie. It's a great story. There's also a book. I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head. I think it's called The Pilgrimage. Actually, it's a great book. So we're doing that. I'm taking a group to go and tap into the magical, mystical energy of Ireland and Scotland next year. I do a retreat in Sedona, Arizona every year, which is fun and exciting. And we practice all these things that we're talking about, and a lot of personal development, health and healing and growth and things like that. And then the one that these guys were going, I don't know if I could do that, is I do mystery trips, where this is super fun. I think it's super fun. So people sign up and they don't know where they're going or what they're doing. They just come and spend 3 nights and 4 days. And I travel within 6 hours of Phoenix, and we just go and take them to new places, and they have no idea. This is not easy for people that like to be in control, by the way, because they have no idea where they're going or what they're doing. And then we have a canyons trip where I'm taking people to Zion and Zion Park and Bryce Canyon and the Grand Canyon and Antelope Canyon, which are amazing, amazing places. And what I love about it is because when you're in that space, when you're on vacation, when you're traveling, your energy is lighter. You're more open to new experiences, and the synchronicities and the mystical things that happen, the magic that happens in those spaces with like-minded and like-hearted people are super powerful. So that's one of the little fun things that I like to do as part of my service work. And we were just talking about it a little bit ago, so thought I'd share that too. So thank you guys. I don't know if you have any other questions. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer if we have time.
I just want to tell you that everybody is saying thank you. Galen is saying, Sunny, you are a beautiful, inspirational, spiritual teacher. Thank you for tonight. It was perfect for us parents. April saying, let's see, thank you, Sunny. Florence is saying that is so awesome and generous. Lori's saying thank you so much. Everybody's saying thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, Steve is saying, Sunny, oh, you are amazing. I needed to be here tonight and hear your story. Love your message. You have had obviously a very difficult life, but you are one of the most upbeat and fun to listen to people that I know of. And I appreciate so much these exercises with Archangel Michael, the exercise with Archangel Raphael. I had no idea that you were in the hospital with 106 temperature and that you almost didn't make it. And anyway, these were all very inspiring stories that you told us this evening. Thank you for being with us, and we hope that you'll come back and spend more time with us. I would love to hear a little bit more about the Find Me things that you've done, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about the different cases that you've solved at some point, which would be really interesting. And again, we always ask everyone to unmute and say thank you and good evening before they leave. So if you all would like to unmute, go ahead and do so.
Thank you. It was
Thank
amazing.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you,
Sunny.
Sunny, very
Thank you,
much.
Sunny.
Thank
It was
you.
wonderful.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank
Sunny.
you, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Thank you,
Good.
Sunny. You have such a beautiful name.
Oh, thank you. My mother gets to own that one. It is my real name.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you. So have a wonderful evening, everyone, and we'll see you on Thursday with Drew Polifroni. He's going to be doing gallery readings.
Does
Good
Sunny
night.
teach classes, intuitive classes?
I do. Yep, on my website. You can go there.
Yeah, the website is in the information that'll be on the YouTube video as well. But it's great to
Thank you,
see
Fran.
everyone.